Hey, it's James Robbins here, and welcome to this video training on how to turn your keynotes and presentations, your breakouts, into a profitable online course, all right? We've got a lot to cover, and I don't want to waste a lot of time, so let's jump right in. But first of all, just to make sure you're in the right place, who this is for paid speakers or consultants, workshop trainers, seminar leaders, corporate trainers, basically anyone who makes a good chunk of their living speaking from the stage, okay? So on today's training, here's what I am going to cover. I'm going to show you the 6 ways an online course can add money to your speaking business. And I'm talking significant money to your speaking business, even actually bring in more money than you make while you're on the stage, okay? So I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you the 3 stages that you must go through to launch a premium online course today. And why I say premium online course is because so many people are jumping onto this online course bandwagon and everyone's just turning out courses. The problem is there's just a lot of crappy courses out there. But you know what? I'm speaking to a different crowd today. You are professionals, you're on stage, you have an image and a brand that you need to uphold. And so if you're going to create a course, create a great course, all right? So I'm going to show you the 3 stages that you need to go through to make sure that happens. I'm also going to show you how to get paid to create your course content and then launch it for only $15 and guarantee that it's a winner before you create a slide, right? We don't want to waste our time. We don't have time to waste. So we need to only sell courses that are guaranteed winners. And then right near the end, I'm going to take you behind the scenes for a very private look of how I continue to create multiple courses a year in my leadership business by reading the minds of my tribe and then serving them, okay? Now, I used to not share this, but I'm going to show you this. So again, you're going to see behind the scenes in my business. But basically, my big promise is I'm going to give you a step-by-step strategy that you can use to create an online course which fits hand in glove with your current speaking business. Now, I don't know if any of this sounds familiar, but do you know that an online course is the way to go, but you don't know where to start, how to find students, what to charge, or even what's the right platform to use when it comes to the tech? Or maybe even more generally in your speaking business, are you staring at big holes in your calendar, wondering how you're going to fill them up? Knowing that the sales cycle for a gig can be up to 10 months long and you feel that stress, like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Or promising yourself you're going to raise your fee, but then a client calls and because you need the money, you cave and you speak for well below what you're worth if that happens to you and you're tired of that. Or does this sound familiar? You're sensing the speaking business is getting harder because there's more people doing it and the industry is shifting. We're seeing different changes more towards a TED-style talks, 18-minute talks. What's that mean for you? What's that mean for your business? Or maybe some days you're just tired of the grind or the travel and you think, should I just go back and get a real job? At least I'd have health benefits. But the thought of that is like swallowing nails. And lastly, you'd like to add a passive revenue stream, but that case of books sitting in your garage isn't really doing it for you. Well, listen, if you can relate to any of those, I've got to tell you this. I don't know anything that has the power to 10x your speaking business like a profitable online course. But if you've been confused on how to get started, or you've been overwhelmed by the size of the task, or maybe you've just put this off for too long, hey, I totally get it. But let me tell you something. Once you create an online program that fits hand in glove with what you already offer, you'll have a revenue stream that's independent of your speaking business, right? It's almost like a separate business in itself. A big open window in your speaking calendar will no longer stress you because you know you can make even more money with your course sales during that time. You'll also increase the value of your offering when you serve your clients, and you can actually demand higher fees each time you book a gig. All right? Now, for those of you who don't know me, who am I and why should I even be talking about this? So my name is James Robbins. I'm actually a former preacher turned leadership and peak performance expert. Obviously, I'm a speaker, author, executive coach. I have given over 2,000 presentations from the stage. Wrote a book called 9 Minutes on Monday, which was named the #1 business book of the year and by the Globe and Mail. I was named one of the top 100 leadership speakers by Inc. magazine in 2018. I'm the CEO of a leadership education company. But I say all that to kind of lead us to here, I have an entire library of online courses that I use to serve my tribe, right, on teaching leadership. And just so you know, I'm not just blowing smoke. This was, here's just what's happened in the last week. These are just course sales. You can see different numbers, $97, $497, $2,500. So that's just in the last week, $5,885. That's not bad when you are not speaking, and that's just coming in. So the reason I share all that is just that before I ever started helping speakers launch online courses, I've done it many times myself, and I continue to do it. In other words, I did not sell a course on how to create a course as the first course I ever created. So listen, I encourage you to watch this entire training because it has the power to massively impact your business. And also, there's nothing for sale here today, right? So you cannot pull out your credit card and buy anything from me. I just want you to know that up front. All right, now let's dive in. Let's talk about the 6 ways an online course can 10x your speaking business. Again, some of these you'll know because you'll think, yeah, obviously, and then some of them might be a bit of a surprise for you. But number one, it first starts out with just get more speaking gigs. Yeah, an online course can actually get you more speaking gigs because here's the thing. When you have an online course, often it's a lower price than your keynote fee or your breakout fee. And people will sometimes buy that because they're trying to have a problem solved that your course solves. But it's bringing your knowledge and information into their organization that introduces them to you, maybe at a lower price point. And then out of that, there's a good chance that you're going to be able to then book a time to go in and serve them. So let me just give you one example. So I was selling one of my courses on a webinar. I sell a lot of my courses on webinars, right? And I had the special offer for like $19.97, so $2,000 for this leadership course. And there was an HR manager on the webinar, and she went and bought my course. Well, so she took it into her organization, but then she called me up and she said, hey, we want to roll your course out, but would you come out and actually give like a keynote to kind of kick it all off? And I said, sure. And, I would normally charge $10,000 to go and do that. And I said, well, you bought my course, so let me, just give you a bit of a break on the price. And so, do it for $7,500. So I went out, I flew out there. So my course has got me a speaking job, right? So I went out there, I did the keynote, kicked off the program for them. And then they were for their senior executives. And then this happened. She said, our senior executives wanted to first try 9 minutes on Monday. That's the course. She said for themselves, but after only the first session, they decided we needed to roll it out to all the managers within our organization. So she calls me back up. She's like, can you come back again? I'm like, sure. Well, I got to charge you again, but I'll give you a discount, right? So just selling one course turned into basically $17,000, right? Because it turned into 2 speaking gigs. And this is not the first time this has happened where someone buys my course, but then they want me to come in and speak. So your online course can actually get you more speaking gigs. But number 2, fill in cash flow gaps in your calendar. Now, listen, unless you are just booked massively all the time, and then you probably don't have time to create an online course, but often people's calendars, every industry has its ebbs and flows, right? And if you work in a corporate sector, then you know that August is usually pretty dead, December's pretty dead, sometimes half of January is dead. If you're a conference speaker, you know that, May, June are super busy for you, whatever it is, everyone has their flow. So even though I sell my courses all year, I also know when I have dead spots. And those are times when I'll do bigger course promotions. And so the last one I did on that was actually, I just did a webinar, made $23,000 selling my courses online. I mean, that's in one day, right? So big holes, if there's ever a big hole in my calendar, I don't care. I actually enjoy that because I've done this enough, right? I don't need to travel all over the place. And in fact, when I'm off the road, I can now make more money than when I'm on the road, crazy enough, right? So cash flow gaps are no longer a problem when you have an online course. So that's the second reason. The third reason is that an online course opens up options for packages, right? Options for packages. So think about it in this way. Instead of just going, speaking, and getting back on the plane and flying back home, or maybe you're giving them your book, an online course gives you options for these different packages. So let me show you an example. Some hybrid offerings. So sometimes what will happen is I will tell a company, okay, I'm going to you can take my online program. I'm going to come in and do a live kickoff. And this actually just happened not long ago. And here was the price tag, right? $22,250. And it was just for a company to take my program and have me come in and kick it off for all their people. But it's a hybrid offering. But there's so many different ways you can do this, right? Now, that was me going in first to speak, and then they do my program. But you could also have where you send your program ahead of time, and they go through it, and then you come and speak. Because now a lot of the teaching's done, and now you can be more of a facilitator. And that really fits nice today because people are looking for more value. People are smart enough now that they know that one speech doesn't really change anything. It might raise awareness. And so what you're going to do with your online course is you're going to be able to have different packages that you can offer. All right? And that leads us to number 4. And that has to do with competitive advantage. When you have an online course, I'm telling you, especially if you have multiple online courses like I do, I can use them to close deals when I'm on the short list. So you know what that's like. You get on the short list, and there's 3 or 4 other speakers that they're considering, and the meeting planners, they're weighing it out and they're having their committee. Well, all of a sudden, imagine for a moment that now you're the one speaker on the short list that says, oh, by the way, for every single audience member at your conference, I'm going to send them home with a copy of my newest program, my new 6-week program or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, the eyes light up because meeting planners want to give value to their people, right? So this isn't just like, hey, I'm going to give you a free PDF handout or I'm going to give you a white paper. You're like, I'm going to give you a program. And the great thing about an online course is once you've created it, it doesn't cost you anything to give it. And so you can use that to tip the scales in your favor. All right, number 5. An online course can help you increase fees or close deals. It all has to do with you bringing more value. That's basically what it is. It's bringing more value. So let me give you an example of this. So I got a phone call from an HR association. Now, I speak to a lot of HR audiences. And so this was not even smaller than a state HR chapter. This was like a local chapter, right? So they call me up, and you guys have had these calls before, and they're like, hey, could you come up and kick off our chapter breakfast? They have a monthly breakfast. And I'm like, sure, $10,000. That's my fee. And they said to me, the most we've ever paid is $3,500. Have you ever been in those situations, right? Where it's like, like it's a massive gulf. Now, what do? You can I don't know, meet in the middle, but even that's a massive jump for them. Or you cave and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll come for $3,500, but you kind of feel stupid that you've lowered your price that much. And hey, you got to run your business your way. I get that. No judgment on my part there. But what I said to them is listen, I can't come in there for $3,500, but let me tell you what I can do. Why don't I come? I'll give you some wiggle room on my fee, but why don't I come? And then everyone in attendance, I'll find out how many. Everyone in attendance, I'm going to give everyone a copy of my signature program. And it's a 10-week-long leadership program, absolutely going to change how they lead. And people pay $500 for this. I sell this online for $500. People buy it all the time for $500. Every single person is going to get a copy. And not only that, this is going to be a great way for you to bring the community right to your event and get them exposed to your chapter. So now what's happening is I'm helping them advertise their own chapter, and they're starting to think through this, right? So I said, look, I'll do a kickoff keynote. Every guest gets a copy. I will give you a break on price, but I'm still going to charge you $7,500. And they're just like, okay, where do we sign? Right? So that's an example of a small, tiny place that was like, we've never paid more than $3,500. And I just got them to more than double what they were willing to spend because they saw the value. So just because someone says, well, we don't have the budget, doesn't mean they don't have the money. It says that you have to help them see the value. And sometimes it's hard when we're just talking about a speech or presentation. And that's why when you have a course, man, everything changes. All right. So number 6, lead generation overdrive. Now, this might be one of my favorite reasons why you should have an online course, lead generation overdrive. Now, remember I told you I have multiple courses, right? So, and I'm not even suggesting you do that. I have one signature course that honestly brings in 80% of all my course revenue, but I have all these satellite courses. So I was speaking at an HR conference. This is just to give you one as an example. And I'm doing my keynote. Now, you're not allowed to sell at this conference, right? You're not allowed to sell anything from the stage. And so at the end of my talk, where maybe I would normally plug that, I just said, you know what? I'm giving everyone in here a copy of my 10-week program. People buy this online, but I'm giving it to everyone here for free today. Like one license of it. I mean, now that you can't roll this out to your company, but you can pass this on to a manager or a leader that you want to reward or something, but that's my gift to you. So I made it like this big deal, right? I'm giving this gift, and it is a big deal. It's a $500 course, and I'm giving everyone in the audience this thing. And I said, but here's how you do it. You got to fill out this thing. And they got to give me their name and email, just kind of like some of you do with like, hey, sign up for my newsletter, or, I'll give you the slides of my presentation if you give me your email address. I've done those things, right? And I get this tiny trickle of emails come in. I'm giving them a $500 course. Let me show you what happens. All of a sudden, bang, this is the leads that come in. Here's a stack of paper here. Here's the box. I ran out of sheets. There was just that many people in the room. People were just handing me their business cards all over the place. I mean, this is hundreds of people that are like, hey, sign me up. But see that one where all the arrows are pointed to? That is a stack of paper of people who click the second box, which says, have James contact me about how we might be able to bring some of his programs into our organization. And so I take all of a sudden, and part of this is all about reciprocity, right? People just felt like, wow, I just gave them this great gift. And now I've got all these people that I've got to follow up with who want me to potentially come into their organization. And not only that, but all those other people, they're like decision makers who are taking my 10-week program into their organization to test it out. So I'm telling you, this is lead generation overdrive. Imagine for a moment you leaving each stage that you speak on with this many leads. This is what an online course can help you do. And let me give you a bonus reason. The bonus reason number 7 is a passive revenue stream. So a successful online course can give you the freedom to work from anywhere. A little while ago, my daughter was in virtual school here in Florida, and I just said, hey, let's go to Costa Rica. And I had a gap in my speaking calendar, and so off we went to Costa Rica, and we would work till noon. She would do school till noon, and then in the afternoons we'd take off and jump off waterfalls and go on these crazy adventures. It was so much fun. Anyways, we're out in a place called the Nicoya Peninsula, a little town called Montezuma, and way out on the west coast. And I was actually walking down this street, and I went by this cafe, and they had Wi-Fi, and my email went off. And we were on our way to watch these little baby sea turtles hatch and make their way to the sea, right? So that's where we were going. But on the way, I get this email and I check it, and some company had just bought my leadership course for $49.97, so $5,000. I didn't need to send an email. It was all automated. I didn't need to follow up. I didn't need to email them and say thanks. All that was handled and done, and I didn't have to do a thing. And that's what an online course can do for you. So listen, imagine taking off with one of your kids on an adventure. Meanwhile, people are buying your course while you're out having fun. I'm telling you, you don't have to have your speaking business tied to the stage because you're more than just a speaker. You're an expert. And an online course is just a great way for you to get your expertise out. So imagine what an online course can do for your speaking business, right? But the key is to create a great course and not a crappy one, because there's a lot of crappy courses out there. And if you're going to create a great course, you've got to take it through 3 stages, right? Stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. But when you do that, when you walk through these 3 stages I'm about to show you, you're going to create a course that stands above the herd, that not only will people finish, but they will love and they will tell others about. All right? Now, I've broken this training just into 2 videos. And so if you want to go ahead and catch this next one, then you'll see a button right below here. Just go ahead and click on that, and I'll see you in part 2.